Welcome to the Power of Design podcast. My name is Jack Ossa. I'm an architect, born and raised in Colombia, South America. Years ago, I migrated to the United States to follow my dreams, and today I'm the founder and principal of Ossa Studio, a multidisciplinary architectural design firm in Charlotte, North Carolina. In this podcast, we talk about design, business, creativity, and the inspiration we need to create an exciting and powerful built environment.
What if courage is not the absence of fear, but the willingness to keep moving with it? Today, Jack Ossa speaks with Mike Buccialia, founder and Collective Chief Soul Officer of Mindworx Collective. Mike shares how a career shaped by curiosity, risk, technology, and relationship-based sales led him to help leaders navigate change. Together, they explore courage, compassion, commitment, and how the mind shapes the way we experience work, success, and the world around us.
All right, Mike, welcome to the Power of Design podcast. How are you today?
I'm doing amazing, man. Thank you for having me. This is so cool.
Sure, yeah, I'm excited to talk to you. We just met recently.
Yeah.
And we had a lunch. We had such a great conversation. And I said, man, let's have you on the podcast so we can keep going deeper.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was like so cool. Like our conversation went all over the place. And you were like, let's do this podcast.
Yeah.
I was like, absolutely. What are we going to talk about?
Yeah.
And you were like, it's my podcast. We'll talk about whatever we want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right. So why don't we start by learning about your story?
Yeah.
Where are you from? Did you grow up?
Yeah.
Yep.
I grew up in New Jersey, and people not from New Jersey just tend to orient to North Jersey and kind of the area, around New York and New York City, right?
Yep.
But I grew up in South Jersey.
Okay.
And I mean, New Jersey is called the Garden State. And the south part of it is where all the growing, right? It's farmland. So I grew up in a pretty rural area. So I lived between two farms. So my family was not farmers, but either side of us was farms. And we had a small tract of woods. So it was, a pretty nice upbringing, but a little bit isolated. So like my closest, well, first of all, our closest neighbors were maybe a kind of quarter mile, just because of the woods and farmland. But I mean, another kid my age was like a few miles. So it wasn't until I could ride a bike that distance and B, was allowed to do it on my own that I could, really foster a social connection. And I think that kind of isolation drove a lot of my like desire and need to connect with people and really get to know people, which I think is, how we found each other and different networking groups and stuff. I've just always been drawn to that. And I can't help but think that kind of growing up had something to do
that's
with
interesting. So did you have brothers, sisters?
Yeah, I have an older sister. Yeah, so she's 7 years older. So that age gap, was a bit tricky. And you got to imagine also the stereotypical boy and girl, right? So imagine like a 5-6-year-old boy and a 12-13-year-old girl, right?
Yeah.
Like we were not best of playmates either, right? Like,
nothing in common.
Yes, yeah. And I was just like the typical obnoxious younger brother, and she was a more mature, kind of sophisticated, even as a kid, right?
Yeah.
So I think she's like a very sweet person, but she did her very best to stay away from me and not have to deal with me.
Yeah, makes sense. It's normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And then what? What about school?
Yeah. So that's kind of an interesting element of my childhood and upbringing. So my father was in education his whole career. So he was a teacher in that kind of small town community when I was growing up. And then he became the principal of a small private school. It was actually a Christian school. So I grew up in that environment, went to the school so I wasn't in the public school system either. So that was also a little bit isolating. As these were small classes, like sometimes 6 kids, but maybe the biggest class we had was 12, maybe 15.
Yep.
So it was all small there. So that was my younger school experience. And then I went to high school in a public school. So I was it was still a small school.
Yeah.
And then I went to university, York College, Pennsylvania, which is also kind of small school in this little part of Pennsylvania.
Yeah. What did you study?
I studied recreation and leisure.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, I shouldn't even say I studied it.
I should tell my kids that that's an option.
Yes.
They would love it.
Yes. Yeah. So I have a degree. My degree says it
Man.
on there. Recreation and leisure, which
Man, I just want to imagine the curriculum, the test.
yeah, we literally had
Wow.
one class was called games class. Like
Yeah.
we had to design games and understand kind of game theory and such like that.
So when people graduate with that degree, what do they typically work on?
Typically, there's kind of 3 tracks. So one would be if you go into the therapeutic version, so learning how to use games or other things to help with therapy.
Yeah.
That could be mental therapy, but also physical therapy using dexterity and such.
Yeah.
Like stroke healing, that's a big one. So that's one track. And then the other track would be public recreation. So that could be national parks, or it could be like your local community rec center kind of thing. And then, obviously you can take variations of that in schools and different things, but it tended to orient to some sort of public service thing. You could also, I did my internship at Walt Disney World. So you could kind of bridge into hospitality.
Yes.
Hospitality is a
That's
different
right.
degree,
Yeah.
but they're kind of connected.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
cool. I didn't even know that existed.
I know.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. But it can also, just to give you a clue of how, like, I don't know, a little bit aimless maybe I was. Like,
Yeah.
the way I approached that was, okay, society's telling me I need to have a degree in order to, get a job and have some sort of successful life. I had very little interest in school and that sort of thing. So I was like, what's my easiest path
Yes.
through here? And like, that just sounded fun
Yeah.
and interesting. So I was like, great, I'll do the thing. I'll get the degree.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, it worked for me. Like, I was just able to leverage that experience. I mean, I didn't end up doing anything in that field, but it was some sort of launching off point.
Yeah, that's cool. So what did you do when you graduated?
I moved to New Mexico and this little town called Las Cruces. It's where New Mexico State University is. So I, still a bit aimless.
Yeah.
I was just like, I grew up in New Jersey. I went to school in Pennsylvania. I was, again, in that isolated environment. And this starts the story of, I wanted to get out. I wanted to explore, and I had no money. In fact, I was like tens of $1,000s in debt. But I was like, I want to take risks. I want to go, explore. And I had a buddy who was going to New Mexico State University in Las Cruces, New Mexico. And he was like, hey man, it's super cheap here. You can come live for free. Just come hang out. And so I did. And that was just like my way to make my way west and start to see more of the country.
That's interesting. That's a good good lesson on just doing things that you're not sure about, and taking risk and exploring something else, which is something that we don't typically do. People always like, oh, I want to go to be close to my family, or because I know something here, but just going out there and doing something different that I think at some point is going to show up. How's that way of approaching things in your life today?
I'll say it is harder as I got older, right? We tend to be less or more risk adverse.
Yeah.
Right. We can get to the most. I did continue that path, by the way.
Yeah.
I just kept, it was that, I think, like I said, upon reflection, that drive for connection, that drive for exploring out of coming from what felt kind of isolated upbringing was my motivation. I think it was pretty unconscious at the time. It was just like, I want to go. But unknowingly, that became like quite a superpower or advantage. And I continued that. That drive is diminishing. We're here in North Carolina. I really love it here. We've been here 5 years. This might be the most stable I've been. And I was kind of like that Rolling Stone gathers no moss for a large portion of my life. But yeah, that was, I didn't know it at the time. It just felt like fun, but it was a natural willingness to take risks and be in an environment where I didn't know people and figuring it out and building that confidence in myself. I didn't know that was happening in the background, but
That's cool.
yeah, it was really beneficial.
Yeah. And what did you do in New Mexico?
Uh, anything I could to make money. So I had a job working at a nursery school. So I was like effectively babysitting kind of like toddlers up to age 5, I think. So it was like 2 to 5 year olds. And that was like one of the only, this is a small town. I was doing that part-time. And then I was working as a front desk clerk at a Best Western. I think that paid like $5.15 an hour, and I'm tens of thousands of dollars in debt. And I was like, I'm not great at math, but this math doesn't add up. And then what changed the trajectory for me is I eventually got a job in a call center for Frontier Airlines. So I was the guy on the other end of the line going, hello, where do you want to fly to today? And like entering in information into this reservation system that I got to know pretty well. And as I got to know that system well, I got promoted into that. And that kind of took me off of my career.
How?
Yeah. So I had, the thing that ran alongside this story is I had an interest in technology. One of the major advantages my dad provided for us, he also had a very, very, very early adoption of technology. He was fascinated by computers.
Yeah.
The advantage we had is he was able, as the administrator of the school, he purchased a computer like when they came out. I mean, this was like 1986, 89, 90. I don't know, somewhere in that era.
Yeah.
And he would bring it home. So we had like a personal home computer when that was very uncommon because we were taking the school's computer. I mean, this was huge equipment, right? We had to like load into like these big old boxes and a big old screen. And so we got to play with this stuff more hours than your typical, because otherwise most schools didn't have them. So his forethought to bring it into the school was an advantage for all the kids. Yeah. And then the kids only had it at the school, but we had it home. But anyway, I just became technology fluent. And learning some of the back then you had to write prompts to just load a disk. Right?
Yes.
So I effectively learned coding or computer language. I don't know what age I was, 10 or 12 maybe. Mm-hmm. So when it came to this reservation system, it was prompt based. You had to enter these like prompts and code type language to create the reservation. It's not like we have now with GUIs and interfaces and stuff. And it was just so natural for me, like the way I picked that up. And I was getting into the back end of the system. They were like, whoa, what are you doing? Like the way I could almost like things that people would find challenging. And like if a customer had a complicated change they need to make the reservation, it was actually quite a sophisticated process to prompt and like type in the language to get this thing to do it. And I was doing it like lightning fast. And they were like, what is this? So it just created like disadvantage for me. And they could see how quickly I was moving through reservations. And then they promoted me to be the trainer, to train people how to do. I was young, man. So I was 22.
Wow.
And, I was training people that were anywhere from kind of my age, 25 up to like age 50, it's a call center. So we had a range of people, and that digital or technology fluency just kept going for me. I kept learning the system, and eventually we were going to replace that reservation system. And the technology company that came in to train us how to train the employees on this system, again, were like, well, you picked that up fast. Like, you're really good at this. Yeah. And they then invited me to come work for them. And then that set me off on a whole tech career.
Wow. That's awesome.
Yeah. But all series of happenstance and just like to your earlier point, I didn't know this as like a mindset or a philosophy. I was just saying, yes, okay, I'll go do that. I'll be there.
That's I'll try that. Really good point to just try new things.
Yeah.
You don't know where some activity or task is going to be aligned with your natural talents, which is where you're going to excel.
Yeah. Yeah. And also luck plays a role. Like, it's just, I said yes to things. Yes, I was willing to take risks.
Yeah.
Honestly, they didn't feel that risky to me at the time. And that's what I'm saying. Like later in life, I'm more aware and my ego is more sensitive, if you will, to these risks. But I was just naive enough to just go for things.
Wow, very interesting. And so keep going. When did you meet your wife?
Oh yeah, that's much later in life, man. So we can skip ahead. So yeah, I had this long career in technology. It just kind of evolved. The super cool thing is that company, that tech company, they worked with airlines. It was called Navitaire.
Yeah.
They wrote software specifically for airlines, which meant they had customers all around the world. So when I went to work for them, I was a business analyst. So my job was to go understand their business really well and then bring that information back so that we could improve the product. And they sent me all over the world. It was incredible.
Wow.
So I got my desire to see the world met through it's just like the universe just really looked after me, man. Like it was just crazy that I got this drive fulfilled and a lot of my dreams met. Like this company just paid for me to go around the world. It's incredible.
Man, that's awesome.
And one of the places I got to go was Australia, and the airline I was working for there, or my client, they offered me a job. And so I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to go to Australia. Another big yes. So, there's more to that story, but anyway, I ended up moving to Australia. I have Australian citizenship. I was there for nearly 8 years. Had the most amazing time there. Continued on my career. Went to Singapore for a couple of years, and then eventually made my way back to the U.S. via San Francisco. I was like, if I want to be in tech, I kind of wanted to get out of the airline space. It was a niche market. There was like 3 companies you could work for. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I don't know if I want this to be my life and career, bouncing around between. I already worked for 2 of those companies. There was only one more option. Sure. And I wanted to, by this time I was like 30 something. So I wanted to expand my options. So where do you want to be for tech? San Francisco, right? Tech Mecca. And I met my wife there. So shortly after, like around 6 months into living in San Francisco, I met her.
Wow. What's like the most important difference between Australians and Americans?
Work ethic, man. The Australians, in my opinion, are doing it right.
Wow.
They really know, like they work hard. Do not get me wrong. Like they are but they know that lifestyle, right? Yes. They know that we're here to work, to live, not the other way around. Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong. The startup thing is happening in Australia now. True. Right? You got to remember, I was there from 2006 to 2013, 14. Yeah. That was just a different time altogether. Mm-hmm. But, like anything, they're adopting some more of that hustle type of thing. But they worked really hard, but they were like, we're having our coffee at 10 a.m., right? They have a big coffee culture. Yeah. And we're having our beers at 5 p.m. or noon, depending on the day. They definitely, at the time I was there, man, it was such a fun culture, especially it was ages like 24, 25 to like early 30s. Yeah. And I was in sales, and man, they called it a boozy lunch, right? And that was part of just the culture there. It's like, hey, let's go have 2 or 3 beers over lunch. And then that's how we do business. So it was, they integrated that work life so well. That's awesome. And, they would go home, right? They're like, it's 5, 6 o'clock. It's family time or socializing. Like it was very common to just head to the pub, but long hours in the office weren't really the norm, at least back then.
Yeah. That's also the difference I see when I go back to Colombia. People prioritize fun. Yeah. And they may not have access to a lot of things that we have here, but there is no reason to not celebrate something. There's always, every Sunday, every Saturday, this thing, this, that, and in the street, and everybody's having fun, whether you have money or you don't have money. There is no reason you always have fun. Yeah. Celebrating everything. Yeah. Which is not that common here.
Yeah, that's a major cultural difference. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, do you mind if I ask you about that? So I know, I assume you've told your story on this
Yeah.
podcast
Oh, yeah.
before? Okay, so you obviously came here for a reason and an ambition.
Yeah.
But was it hard to leave those cultural aspects behind that? I'm sure the assimilation across many levels was challenging, but was that cultural aspect like quite hard to reconcile with, or were you ready to just come here and get into the work and try to grow and improve in your career?
It wasn't hard, but I think that's just because that's the way I am. For me, it felt very natural. I never missed anything. I just see the differences now.
Yeah. Yeah.
But no, I never felt anything. I have two brothers. One of them came with me. He's still here. And the other brother, he came 1 year and he went back.
Right. Wasn't for him.
Yeah. When he was here a year, he said, "Man, I cannot do this." And another language, I cannot go have a beer on the store with my friends. People don't understand what I'm saying. Like I cannot deal with this.
Yeah.
And he went back and he still lives there.
Yeah.
And it depends on the person, changing your whole culture, you live in your family, your people, all your connection.
Yeah.
That's a big change.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like takes a lot of courage. And obviously you had some drive there, like something to keep you going.
Yeah, but it wasn't hard.
Yeah. Do you chalk that up at all to youth? Like, do you think like this version of you now could do the same thing?
It's interesting because I feel, for example, the process of coming here, the first years and understanding the system and how things work and making progress and learning how people communicate. When I started my business, it's like I'm doing it again because it's the same thing. I don't know the business world. I don't know how things work. And it's like now I'm kind of feeling like, what's the third one?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you, do you know this guy, Naval Ravikant?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Have you ever heard him talk about that 0 to 1 kind of concept?
I read the From Zero to One book by Peter Thiel many years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. So what you're describing, like Naval says, like, the person's like, I guess, evolution, if you want, in life comes down to how willing they are to keep doing the 0 to 1. So you get to the 1 and you're like, okay, good. I've mastered this, or at least I've become comfortable with it. Yeah. Even if you're not at mastery level. Yeah. Can I intentionally, willfully go to 0? Yes. And start from ground zero and go, I got to learn, how to build a business, or, how to, excel in this environment, or how, if I want to move, let's say if I were to move to Colombia, that would be very difficult. Right. Right. Like, I don't know Spanish. I don't know the culture. Like, I don't know how I would fit in. I don't know how I would assimilate. Do I trust myself enough to go to that 0 baseline, learn the language, figure out the culture, navigate? How do I, derive an income down there? Right. Like, that's as much change as I've been through. That's a scary proposition. Right. But I think it always gonna be scary because I will say, if I look at myself, I said, "Oh my gosh, look at what I did! That's amazing! I came to this country, I did this thing, and how that's how did I do that?" Like, I look at myself, I'm like, man, I was crazy. Like, if I'm gonna do something like that now, I'm like, no, like, so even a new challenge is gonna feel still that you're scared. So I was talking to someone yesterday and was telling them I want some time. I was listening to a podcast. Dan Sullivan? No. From Strategic Coach? I'll send you things. So he runs a company called Strategic Coach, which is advising, coaching, executive coaching. They're in Canada, in London, and Chicago. They have 3 options, and he's amazing. He's got multiple podcasts, but he says one time he was talking about the difference between fear and courage. Yep. And he said fear is when you pee in your pants, and courage is what you do with your pants wet. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, it's okay. Yes. Okay. You're gonna be fearful. You it's not like you did this now, or you overcame fear. Now you're not gonna feel it, or you're gonna feel less. No, you're gonna feel it again, or even more. Yes. Could I share
Yeah.
like a personal philosophy? So yeah, when I was young, like you said, I think part of it was just naive. Some of it was just maybe youth and maybe a little bravado. I don't know. It's just like I didn't calculate the risks. I was just doing things, and that was such a blessing because it was just happening. But as I got older and ego kind of surrounded me more, I started to feel those fear more often. And
Yeah.
I hit a point in life with just a lot of anxiety and
Mhm.
such. And I was like, just fear was just real present.
Yeah.
And I developed this philosophy, and it is part of like how I do my coaching. And it is courage, compassion, and commitment. Like if you can hold those principles,
Yeah.
I don't know how long it will take.
Mm-hmm.
That's why commitment is important,
Yeah.
right? So the courage to go, fear is present. Courage means that you are moving with fear.
Yes.
Courage does not mean absence of fear.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't have fear, you're not using courage. You're just not afraid, right?
Yes.
And the compassion part to me is the glue, because if you're doing something that feels like a risk, if you're doing something that's out of your comfort zone, then you need that compassion to hold the commitment to keep going. Because if you're judging yourself and you're like feeding that fear and letting that overtake you, then you're going to give up.
Yeah.
You're going to quit. So like having compassion for yourself to go like, I just pissed my pants.
Yes.
Right? Like if you just
Yes.
go, I'm going to go hide in shame,
Right.
then it's over. Right.
Yes.
But if you go, I pissed my pants. Can I
Yes.
make a joke of this? Can I have compassion for that happened because I was scared, and it's
Yeah.
human to be scared. Let me hold compassion for that. How can I move forward and stay committed to going on this path? Then you can accomplish a lot in life. It doesn't mean you're going to get your every wish and desire. It just means you're going to move more on the path towards your goals and dreams and wishes than if you live in fear and don't ever pursue it. So those have been monumental for me in my life and how I work.
Wow. That's so important, because when we somebody that we may care or not care about, and they make a mistake or they pee in their pants, are you gonna laugh at them, or
Right.
are you gonna be compassionate and say, hey, what do you need, how can I help you? Is the exact same thing.
Yes.
How treating yourself the way you will treat others,
100%.
which doesn't happen, I think, automatically.
Yes. And I think the more people do scary things, the more compassion develops naturally, because you start to realize like, oh, that was hard for me, and how I felt, and the voice or critic that you have, like, man, I was hard on myself, even though I was doing something new and scary. Man, I can have compassion for what someone else, man, that must have been hard for them. And I love compassion because I think it just fits nicely in between sympathy and empathy, right? So sympathy, you see the person piss their pants and you go, I'm so sorry for you. It's a little disempowering. It's still, I guess, a kind type of emotion, like you're feeling for them, but it's almost like disempowering. Like, I'm so sorry. That must be all. No, it's just a thing that happened. Yeah. You can be compassionate. That's hard. Yeah. Is that hard for you? You can even ask it. It has a little more curiosity to it. Yeah. And empathy is like, oh, now I'm feeling what you're feeling. Again, it can create connection, is like, oh, but it's like compassion is like, I don't need to feel sorry for you, and I don't need to feel for you. I just need to recognize you're in a hard moment, and I've been in a hard moment, and we can meet each other right there where you're at. And I just think it's just so powerful and empowering. Yeah. Yeah. That definition of empathy, I like it. And not only saying, oh, I'm feeling what you're feeling, but really feeling what the other one is feeling. How do you put yourself in that state that you really feel it? Yeah. Yeah. And do you know Brene Brown? Yeah. Yeah. So I learned a lot from her books and listening to her podcasts and stuff. She's got a great one for empathy, because she's saying you don't have to experience exactly what the other person is experiencing. You don't have to have the exact same situation that person's situated, but it's an emotional connection. So meaning, I forget her exact example, but let's say you lost a loved one, and that is creating grief. So it's like, maybe I haven't lost a loved one the exact same way you have, but I've experienced loss in my life and I know what grief is, and I can understand and relate. You're grieving. I know what grief is, and we can have that empathetic kind of level. So it's not that I have to have been through exactly what you've been through, but if I can understand what state you're in, if I've been in a similar state, then you can hold that empathy, which I thought was another cool way to look at it.
Cool. All right. I want to keep exploring all these ideas with your story. So in San Francisco.
Yeah.
What happened there?
Yeah. Well, I mean, San Francisco was cool. It was like I was still early-ish in my career, so I was in that exploratory phase. So I moved to San Francisco because I got a job at a consulting firm. I had this idea. The path I'm on is not the path I want to continue. I didn't want to stay in this smaller tech world that was focused very much on airlines. I thought, if I don't leave this career track now, I'm on a one-way track, and I didn't want to be on a one-way track. So I looked for some way to broaden my horizons, if you will, and ended up working for a consulting firm. And that was the first time I was like, whoa, I'm really feeling being out of my comfort zone here, right? Like I never sold consulting before, so I was still in a sales role. I didn't even understand really management consulting, what that even meant. I was used to selling a product, right? And a product I knew intimately well from using it. And now I'm selling abstract like projects that you can kind of be anything. It was not a product, and so it took me a while to really find my feet there, and that was a new thing to experience because I was on strong footing from the get-go in my tech career. And so this was my first time really getting out of my comfort zone, and it was challenging. But the company I was working for was great and had a lot of support, and kind of found my feet there, and ended up in year 2 kind of being the top sales rep. So I started, doing well. And then Adobe headhunted me out of that position, kind of brought me back into the travel world. So I got hired as the head of travel and hospitality industry vertical, if you will, for the professional services sales. And then my clients were, casinos and rental cars. And so I had a couple airline clients, but it would broaden out into travel as a whole.
And what are you selling?
So I was selling professional services, but specifically in their digital marketing space.
Yes.
So this was the consulting services that supported digital analytics, website build outs, various data products around customer experience.
Yes.
That's like everything Adobe was focused on. So the broad thing we were selling was digital transformation, specifically around marketing and marketing tools and websites and digital products. So I kind of just got immersed into that world, quite fortunately, at pretty much the height of digital transformation.
Yes. Right.
Yeah. So I learned a lot in that arena.
That's interesting, because when I think about Adobe, I think about Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign,
PDFs,
yes,
and Photoshop. Yep. But yeah, I mean, so they have 3 lines of business. They call their Document Cloud, their Creative Cloud, which is Photoshop, and they have a whole suite of tools beyond that in video editing and all kinds of stuff. And then their Marketing Cloud, and their Marketing Cloud is like, at the time it was like just over a third of their business. So like $5 billion in revenue. It was like, it's big business. But anyone outside of enterprise, like this was only sold to large enterprise companies, big companies, whereas Photoshop and PDFs are used by everyday people.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
The Power of Design podcast is brought to you by Ossa Studio, a multidisciplinary design firm focused on creating impactful experiences through the power of design. We partner with our clients to create buildings, interior spaces, brands, and strategies that help you deliver a successful project. As a minority-owned firm, we are committed to building a diverse platform of curious and driven design professionals so we can together pursue our full potential. For more information, please visit us at
how 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 do you sell at that level?
This is the funny thing, Jack. They were amazing on professional sales training and leadership development. I learned a lot there. I applied a lot, but the thing about me has always been relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So I just genuinely cared about the person sitting across from me. I cared about them as a person. I cared about what was going on in their business. I genuinely cared about what their problem was.
Yes.
And that is what is taught. Anyway, if you want to be a really good salesperson, it is like they say, 80% listening, 20% talking. We tend to think about the salesperson as pushy, explain. But I just had a natural curiosity of like, what is going on with you and your business? Why are we even having this meeting? Like, what are you trying to get out of this? And so that was just always natural for me and very effective. Then, of course, you need to learn negotiation. You need to learn competitive positioning, right? You need to learn, how to handle objections and understand, matching a solution to a problem. So those things I had to learn. But for me, it was always relationship.
What made you good at doing that?
Again, I think it was my natural curiosity and I just care. Like, I don't know, like that.
Yeah.
That is just.
So when I think about that, I said, that makes a lot of sense, but sales is also about volume.
Mm-hmm.
And lead generation and prospecting. And,
Mm-hmm.
Depending on your conversion, I don't know what ratio or percentage it is, but usually you need a lot at the top,
Mm-hmm.
right? So how do you kind of decide? Because you're limited to develop quality relationships in the physical world,
Yes.
right?
Yes. It's so funny you say that. So I just had some natural ability. It was ability to build rapport. It was ability to build trust. And I think that was just founded on curiosity and care.
Yeah.
So I did pretty well pretty quickly. And the thing I always hated though, Jack, was that volume game. I never.
Right. Because it goes to the opposite direction.
Yes. And so I got in a really fortunate position. I was working for a really great leader and they were like, you're doing really well. We think you're pretty talented. We want to give you a bigger team. How do you feel about doing this? Or like some patch or territory they're going to give me. And I was like, actually, that is not what I want at all.
Yeah.
Like I would rather have a smaller territory and go deep.
Yes.
Like that's really, if you want me to excel, like that's where I want to go. And they were like, huh. And they went with it. And so it was like the coolest thing. They gave me the hard to crack accounts, the ones that they knew were going to take time, the ones they knew needed deeper relationships.
Yeah.
And then we got to crack the account. Like we had this little nickname of like SEAL Team 6 special, like special forward account or whatever, right? It was just like, let's go in like and really spend time with these. So it was amazing. I got that opportunity.
So how did you feel during the time, let's say the first one that you cracked from 0 to 1?
Yeah.
How was that experience? A long experience from 0 to 1. How did you feel? Because I sell too, and you always in the sell you want the sell.
Yes,
and the sooner the better.
Yes.
So having that patience and understanding and wanting it sooner, but knowing that it's not coming sooner, and trusting that it's coming because you're like, man, it's been a long time and nothing happened. Like, should we switch target or whatever? Tell me about that.
Well, of course, that's always the thing you're battling is like, do we stay the course or change course? That's like, we don't really know.
Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to stay at things long enough. I will say we had both a challenge and advantage. So it was a set amount of account. We only had this set of account. I forget how many. I think it was like, it might have been even less. It might have been like 10 or 15. And so we had a target to meet and it was like, you got these accounts. So like if you had if you had 50 accounts, you go, well, I'm giving up on these. I'm going to go chase these. Right. And that was the game. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But we only had these accounts. So we had no other choice than to trust and keep developing the relationships and skills and be patient. Right. But that wasn't so hard. It was definitely stressful and nerve wracking. If like quarter one, we didn't make the number, quarter two, we didn't make the number. Right. And it was like, all right, you got 2 more quarters to deliver on this. Have the seeds you planted and relationship you develop. Are they going to do it? But like, I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't money driven and didn't want to meet my targets and status driven. Like that for sure was an element, but man, it was satisfying just spending the time with the clients, really getting to know them.
Yeah.
And it was more satisfying to know that we were doing our job so well that we overcome all the other attempts that other teams had made in bringing these accounts on. So as much as, of course, hitting my number, fulfilling and super rewarding, like that, it was just worth the stress and the patience to know, like, yeah, we did something different here. Like we cracked something that other people weren't able to.
That's cool. I'm gonna bring another Dan Sullivan
quote.
So
yeah, please.
He's got a definition of sales. He said, sales is getting someone intellectually engaged in a future result that is good for them and getting them to emotionally commit to take action to achieve that result.
I love it. I love it. That
it's incredible.
I'll have to share it with you after, but I have this one slide that I used to use with all my sales teams, which said, it was like a picture of a deconstructed skateboard, right? And you think about all the wheels and the deck and the trucks and stuff. And that was like, these are the features or components. And it's like, this is what you're selling the customer, but this is what they're buying. And it showed like a guy doing tricks on the skateboard, right? That's that. It's like, I got to put these components together so I can ride this skateboard. Like, what am I really doing with this thing? And what do I want to, I want to feel this freedom. I want to feel this joy. I want to feel, right? And it's like, if you can connect them with that outcome, not just the business outcome.
Yes.
But how am I going to feel if you bring them into that future state of like, how am I going to feel when this is all said and done? Yeah, there's going to be a bunch of stuff that has to happen in between, but am I going to get the feeling and the results that I want? And that's what you're really, and if you're both aimed at that and there's true integrity behind being able to get there, then you're doing a good job.
Yeah. Someone else said, I don't remember who that was, that we don't buy products or services, we buy experiences. And what I think is that what we really buy is how we feel about ourselves when they're interacting with that product or service.
100%.
When you look at any luxury brand, which anything you can have low cost and something that costs 100 times. You know, you can buy a car for probably 10,000 and 100,000 and 500,000 and millions. They'll do the same.
Yeah.
You can buy, a jacket or watch for $50 or probably 5 million. What's the difference? Is how the people feel.
Yeah.
I have the 5 million. I feel really good about myself. So the money disappears. Yep. When you make people feel good about yourself, about themselves, they pay anything to experience that.
100%. Yeah. And if that watch satisfies an internal lacking need or desire, right? So, it's not true for everyone, but often that's like status if you're going to that luxury. So that makes me feel important. Whether they know that or not, I don't know that people would consciously think, oh, I'll be important if I get, but there's this underlying insecurity that's being satisfied. And it's like, oh, I have this, so now I can, feel important. And we all want to feel important to some degree.
Yeah. So imagine how interesting it is for how I feel about my business that is architectural, that we're selling services. So what we're selling is how the client feels about themselves when they're talking to us. Communication, email communication, phones, meeting.
It all matters.
Yes, social. So how do you make that person feel good about themselves?
Yeah.
That to me is the big question. And I try to explain that to my team. I'm like, we're not selling drawings here.
Yeah.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
But what we're selling for them, what they want is to feel good about themselves.
Yeah.
What do we all want? We all want to feel heard and appreciated. heard,
Yes.
valued.
Yeah. Do you
Who doesn't
understand
want
me?
that?
Do you care
Understood.
about my needs?
Cared about every person.
Yes.
Every single. So how do you do that?
Yes. So obviously they're going to want to know you have a quality product.
Yeah, you need to deliver
that's
the promise.
Table stakes.
Yeah.
But then the question is like, how committed to you, does this person really care about me? Are they going to be in this project with me, and the inevitable challenges and setbacks and, things that go wrong? Like, are you in it with me? Like, that's going to make a big difference.
Yeah.
And can we take it one step further? Because the thing you said when we first met, the lunch we had, that's really stuck with me. I've talked to people about this. Like, I never had this idea of like the way you approach it is like, not only how does a person feel when they interact, but the space we create, how does that work with the human being flowing through that
to architecture
space? Yeah. I just never, you said, when you put up a wall, you're putting up a barrier to the physical space that people are moving through. And I just never looked at it that way, as barriers or otherwise energy moving and flowing, or a person's ability to navigate space. Like, maybe that's common in your field, but I thought that was such an interesting. It's
not common in my field. And when I say that in front of other architects, I'm like, what are you talking about? So it's not. There's some architects that share my my theory, like history, good architects that think like that. But yeah, I don't remember when I got to that conclusion. It was for sure. I think it was in architecture school.
Okay.
Still in architecture school. Yeah, and it's so hard that I'm still. Getting it. Yeah. It's because it's like you see it, but you don't see it. It's like being when they said a fish in water, and where's the water? In water, yeah. It's the same thing. So my first thing was, okay, architecture. It's a human perception of space. That's how I started it. Like, okay, architecture is the human perception of space. And so then I question, okay, so I don't know if you have heard the theory that basically we are a camera. No, we're a camera, we're a projector. So if I'm not looking here, does that exist?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So that's what I started. And like, got it. The architecture is the perception of space. Okay. But then what I started thinking about is, okay, how's that perception happening? At the physical experience in the world, and like, architectures are, places where people to go, right? So the basic architecture is a cave or a tree, dolmen, all those ancient structures that is kind of nature accommodated to fulfill some needs, shelter, protection from the sun, protection from animals. So you go into earth, but then you need to fulfill that need more and more. And that's how architecture is. Then humans started using nature to create these structures. Right? But these structures, what they're doing is giving the void, empty space definition. Because when you're outside, it's like open, your brain is connected to the sky and you see everything. And these things, they start to confining that space, that empty space. So that's where I thought, of course, then the architecture, what we call architecture, is the envelope that is giving definition to these shapes, because we don't move through solids, we move through the empty space.
That was it. When you said, I was like, wow, of course. So the way I took it when you were explaining this to me is just different than I would have naturally. Like the way I understood that was like, the way you're looking at it is, I have a big empty space here.
Yes.
What am I disrupting by putting in a wall here? Versus I always thought like, well, we need a room here because this is where we're going to record the podcast. So just make a box, but starting with it, stepping way back to go, all right, if we put this 4 walls here in this box here, what have we just disrupted in that bigger envelope? Like, I was like, wow.
We disrupted the human experience of that space.
Yeah.
Now it's different. Now you can control it. from different dimensions, shape and colors, height, lighting. Lighting is, we perceive through lighting. And, the circadian rhythm, we're made to understand the sun, the blue light, the yellow light. So we're like kind of manipulating that experience with these devices that are like fixtures.
Yeah. Wow. And you're taking that into account? Like, I assume there's the basic structural design, but do you go to the point of lighting? Like, are you getting into the interior design? Okay. Wow.
Yeah. We pick the lighting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So you really go to that level.
Yeah. Like this office I designed, I pick every single thing. Like black outlets with the dark wall or white outlets with that one. There are a bunch of things that you're like kind of curating that experience now, and then trying to do things. For example, when you go to sometimes a place that you're like, man, this is amazing. This is great. You don't know why.
Yeah.
You think you do. You
Yes.
think you do, but you don't know why. But I can see it now. So I can say, yeah, this thing, for example, these are ceiling tiles that are 2x2.
Okay.
Right? So you can place that in many places, in different ways. But I did it, for example, that one is 1 foot, the other one is 1 foot. So this is center.
Yeah, right.
And the center is empty.
Yeah.
As opposed to have the line in the middle. That will be another thing. Right? So, but I was looking at, okay, how do you get the light fixture that fits 3 models exact?
Brilliant.
And everything.
Yeah, so the brain perceives some symmetry, and it is like somehow settling to the mind.
Yes, like for example, they're trying to align the paint with the ceiling grid, right?
Okay.
Yeah, like a bunch of tricks like that. Is that when you start that you don't notice, but it's like this energy,
Yes,
aligning that you're like, man, this feels great. And I want to get to the point. I'm not there yet. When I design a full project with that perspective, because it's hard.
I bet.
Because it's easy just to put the walls and put the things
in.
Yes. And so let's say the first thing is the basic architecture is walls, floor, and roof, right? Box.
Mm-hmm.
But then you cannot experience that. So then now you need openings. So you need to bring light in it. So windows, then you start opening lights, and that relates to the sun and positioning and the sun, north and orientation. And you need doors because you need to access. So now you create these relationships where you go here, you go here, you go here, and then you start giving the spaces a use. Bedroom, kitchen, this, and start organizing the relationships of those spaces.
Yeah.
How do they relate? Wow. Where will they go? Times of the day. It's a bunch of decisions that you're kind of defining how people are going to experience this.
Interesting. So you even account for, is this room going to be used all day, or is this maybe a kitchen that's more used morning and night kind of thing? And wow.
So workplace design, which we do a lot, like, and offices is super interesting, because what I understood is, one, when we're doing workplace design, any adult will work in an office, probably 90%, I don't know, from when they're 20 to, 60, like 40 years, every day, 8 hours. People spend more time alive in an office than at your home because you're sleeping most of the time.
That's crazy.
So workplace design is a big deal. It's a big deal. And workplace design, the one we have today, still very young, because this started with, the basic setup, which is a table with a machine. That's when they invented typewriters.
Yeah.
So they invented the desk and you write in.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Today is the same.
Yeah.
It's just nicer typewriters.
Yeah.
It's the same table. More modern materials. But when you look at offices 80 years ago, exactly the same setup.
Pretty much the same.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly the same. So now people start to do things like, colors and tendencies and styles, right? So they could be the same setup, but in the 70s look different. And you can go to a place like, oh my God, look at that carpet, look like 70s. It's just like the One architect, Miss Van der Rohe, said that architecture is when you capture the emotion of a time, of an epoch. You capture it.
Huh.
Yeah, so that's when you can date things and you can say, oh man, yeah, looks like that. That looks like oh yeah, this is very modern. And it could be the exact same space, exact same design. You just change the lighting, the finishes. So how we relate to the aesthetic, aspect of architecture is also incredible.
That is so interesting, and it's coming clearer to me, Jack, how like our worlds have collided. I mean, I just think we're both curious people, and so, but that we're in relationship with everything.
Yeah.
Right. Like I think the more we understand that, and even what you said about how humans perceive space.
Mm-hmm.
So, I shared my personal values kind of thing, but the other thing I operate under is like, we are a bundle of nerves, a ball of emotions, and a mind making sense of it, right? And that mind is that kind of the projector, right?
Yeah.
And we forget that. Like we forget that we're this like energy body moving through space, right? And everything is having some sort of subtle effect on us, right? And it's easy to ignore a lot of that. But yeah, we're constantly taking in the light bouncing off the walls and how does this space make me feel confined, or does it feel open? Does it make sense to my mind, or is it confusing and I'm like a little bit off, right? And so the fact that, and then like you said, we're in relationship with it. Like, how am I relating to this space?
We're perceiving it, and it's impacting us 100% of the time.
Yes.
I watched a video not too long ago on YouTube. It's I think it's an Argentinian architecture professor. So the topic was, is AI going to kill architecture? And I'm like, oh man, that sounds amazing. So I listened to it for like 30 minutes and man, blew my mind. Because his position, which I agree 100%, is the question that we need to ask before asking if AI is going to kill architecture is, what is architecture? Let's start with what is architecture? And his point is, because people don't know what architecture is, they think architecture is the envelope and the style.
Yep.
Yes, AI is going to kill that, but that's not architecture.
Interesting.
He said, AI is going to kill it. The production of that thing, that's going to happen. But that's not architecture. Architecture is inherently human.
I love it.
It's human. It's human. It's a human experience space. Human creating a space for other human brains.
Yeah. And so was his premise that AI will struggle? Like, it can create all kinds of cool designs and it can use physics properly and all that kind of stuff. Right. But it will struggle because it can't ever experience that space.
Yes.
And have a sensory experience of that space.
Yeah.
So it won't ever know what it feels like to be in that space, even if it matches all kinds of physics and ability to actually construct it. That's important.
Yes.
But what's more important is if it just feels weird or feels bad to be in that space, then people aren't going to be happy with that. Is that where it's going?
Yeah, it's that for example, to create architecture, I need to understand another human needs for a space. And I'm a human brain interpreting those things, right? And making decisions. Now, how I use that to generate the change in the real world, I use the materials and technology available at the time. So 100 years ago, 200, maybe it was all like wood and rocks, and that's it, that was available. Today is this. And when AI and robots start doing amazing stuff, it's going to be like that. They're going to be the tool.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting, man. So where do you stand on your industry and your craft?
I don't know.
Yeah. That's
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think so many industries have that question right now.
And I have one of my best friends is a musician, and we have been in conversations where we always get to the same conclusion. Once you start talking about music with a musician, it's the same.
Right.
It's exactly the same.
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
the music is not the music, it's the space, the empty space between the notes.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same concept.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think this is going to be a really interesting period of time for how humans evolve and use these tools, as you say, right? Are they going to be used for more human experience, right? Or is it going to be used for just some sort of profit maximization? And will those worlds collide? I think we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Right. But I won't speak for you, but I think this is where, we met at that mastermind of like understanding how are we creating spaces and creating things for humans and putting the built world into a format that is more conducive, both cost-wise and experience-wise for humans. And so my great hope and the reason I'm so happy to be talking to you today is like, I feel like there's so many people that share this philosophy or this need or this willingness to look at the broader implications.
Yes.
What am I doing? What is my intention for whatever my craft is, whatever it is I'm serving the world with? Am I doing it through the lens of how do I make a bigger impact to supporting and lifting other people up and making these spaces and these relationships more beneficial for more people? And it just gives me a lot of hope that there's not only you, but that room we were in and other people beyond that are taking this lens.
Yeah, and I think one reason why you can identify that's happening, it's when, like, I really feel like the way you felt with sales, that it was just natural to you and develop the relationships, and you're good at it and easy. To me, I feel like, my purpose is to help people figure out the experience of space.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I'm good at it. I think about it.
Yeah.
Like my family, my kids and my wife, they're like, "You're watching architecture documentaries?" And I go like, "Look at this building." And now my kids are like, "Did you see that door?"
That's so cool.
I go to restaurants and I'm like, "I like that tile. This lighting, I don't like it." And when I see something like horrible, I take a picture and send it to here at the office. Can you believe that they did? Is that nobody pays attention to?
Okay, Jack, again, is I think where we collide. What you're describing, I think is unfortunately pretty rare. And again, I hope we're in an evolution where tools and things make it more accessible, where people can. I think a lot of people like their jobs. I think they like the comfort it provides, but I don't know that they're doing something they're obsessed with. Like that's what I hear. It's the same thing for me. Like I called my business Mindworx because I became obsessed with how the mind works, right?
Yes.
And I can't. My wife will say the same thing to me. She goes, "Are you listening to another podcast about like mindset?" Like to her, it's noise. She's like, that one guy said the same thing the last one said. Like, how are you? I was like, I don't know. There's a little bit of subtle nuance. And, I learned this trick and I hadn't thought about this angle or whatever. And these little nuance, like you're saying, like, lighting a little bit different or how they positioned it. You can pick up anything out of the new material, even though she's right. The body of work as a whole is the same thing. They're basically saying what you're saying. Yeah. The mind is a projector, right? Yeah. Like it is not perceiving reality as it is. It's going through this filter. I mean, take light. Mm-hmm. We see a small, tiny fraction of the spectrum of light. Yeah. Like we are filtering our entire experience through a fairly limited sensory apparatus, right? And then add our mind, it's filtering through our past experiences. Does this seem like something I've been through before? Was that a good experience, bad experience? I like this person, I don't like this person. We are very rarely fully present with what is. It's going through all these lenses and filters. So that's the basic of what all the podcasts are saying and how the mind works, right? But there's obviously it's this infinitely complex subject, right? Just the same way architecture can be, right? Yeah. So it's cool to be doing something that you're obsessed with and is providing a service and is, something you're going to do one way or another. That's pretty cool.
And it's, to me, like recognizing the basics, like, all the things that you're like, if you're a doctor, I will think they're fascinated. Like, how come we have this
Yes.
mass
Yes.
with a skeleton there and it doesn't fall?
Yeah.
And how does that system work?
Yes.
And there's blood and pumps it and it grows and it goes to sleep. Understanding that machine, because it's a machine.
Yes.
And they're like, okay, if you stop here and you pull this happen.
Yeah.
And then people in the medicine, like, okay, let's take these compounds from nature and you ingest it and it has this effect. Now you don't have a headache. Now,
Right.
like medicine, like how did you get there? Imagine the trial and error
Yeah.
to develop medicine.
Oh man, unbelievable.
And knowing and science and chemicals. So all those things need to happen, and I think every person exists to do one of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And then I'm curious, do you have a particular philosophy at like kind of lack of better phrasing, like a spiritual level? Like, do you see that there's something more going on? Do you feel like, do you have any like particular way you experience life as not just the things you're talking about as this human being and doing the crafts that we do, but like anything beyond that? Do you explore that realm at all?
Yeah. So my current conclusion or state is that, so we're this machine, right, in space. That's the only thing that I think you can really say, yeah, this is it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I see it, I touch it, I feel it, right? Everything else beyond that, it's speculation or history. You know, they told me this, and concepts that are like constructed.
Yep.
So the only thing we know is that we're here. At least we believe we're here.
Yeah.
And one day we're not gonna be here.
Mm.
There's only two bookends that we know.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the bookends.
Mm-hmm.
And thing ends right there.
Yep.
So, okay. Then the question is, do you need an explanation for the rest?
Yeah.
Do you want one? Sure. No. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I get curious on that aspect of life. The reason I was thinking that is, as you said, this like biological machine, if you will, like to your point, we know we have some experience of this, right? But as I was saying to you, the mind basically makes our reality by going through these filters. I mean, even our skin is just a bunch of atoms, the same way this table is a bunch of atoms. So in some way we are constructing this, this is light bouncing off here, right? And so we, to some degree, our mind is kind of creating that projector image of even our bodies. So then I get curious, like, okay, this is, obviously it's real, but it is still made in the mind to some degree, right?
Yeah.
Like we're seeing how light bounces off here and we're seeing how this collection of atoms is represented to us. Then my question is like, but they're also, the simple way I call it is a life force. There is some energy like guiding us and moving us and like carrying us in different directions. How we engage with that is a faculty of this biological machine, if you will. But like, that's my big unknown mystery explanation. What is this kind of life force that keeps us going and
but I think
gives us that energy?
The only certainty we have is that we don't know what it is, and we will never know.
Yeah.
That's
And my big question is like, and it's kind of my life's mission is, can we tap into it? Like, can we be better connected to that life force?
But no, the question is, why do you feel disconnected?
Yeah. I love it. I love it. I think it's an absolute great way
because there is
to
no
look
disconnection.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no disconnection.
Yeah. It's a great way to look at it. Even, when I first started Mindworx, my kind of tagline was success by subtraction. Like, what is in the way of these relationships you have with other people, with your work, with money, with whatever?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what is making you feel disconnected from this amazing life force that's carrying through? And it's our mind. It's like, I should have this, or, it's the ego saying this situation's not right. It's like, reality is what it is.
Yeah.
It's
so
our interpretation that gets in the way of that.
Give me an example of working with your clients. Like, what's kind of like a typical client, and what's the experience, and what do they get out of working with you?
Yeah, I mean, a typical client usually comes to me because they have some sort of challenge. It's a classical, they might feel stuck in some decision they need to make, or they're just feeling more anxiety than would match their circumstances.
Yes.
So I work with a lot of executives, founders, business owners. They have that classical title. They have some sort of financial security, right? They've been successful in various aspects of life, but yet they're finding themselves stressed and anxious. And it doesn't quite make sense, because it's like, well, I've built this life. I've got these things.
Yeah.
How come I don't feel totally safe and satisfied, right? And there's only one place left to turn.
That's right.
Which is like, what's going on in my mind and body?
Yeah.
And so that's always the starting point. It can be, the actual specifics can be a little bit different. Like I've had clients going just like, I hit a career crossroads. Like I just can't do the next rung on the ladder. Right. And I don't know what to do because it's all I've ever known. So it's just getting over that fear barrier, like building that courage, understanding what it is in their mind that they're believing will happen or what they're capable or not. Right. And just kind of dissolving that, lack of a better term. Right. Other people are like facing a health challenge, and they're just like, I can't keep living in this stress and pressure. But again, it's the only way I know how. It's what got me successful. Yeah. Like I can't give up this mode, is the belief that they're living in. Yeah. Right. And it's like unwinding that and understanding what is the real source of that discomfort or anxiety, and helping them realize what they're believing, how they're relating to their circumstances, and just helping them kind of shift that. Sometimes it requires facing a fear, facing a discomfort, a conversation that they need to have with a spouse. Yeah. That carries a lot of weight. And it's just kind of getting these weights off by realizing your imagination is kind of working against you and helping it work for you. Yeah. So it's a pretty similar method, but with different entry points.
How long does it take you typically to, when you start the process, to get to the point where you're like, okay, I know what I need to do? Because I guess at the beginning, you first need to know what's going on. Yeah. And then you formulate, this is what I need to do.
It depends, but usually by 3 sessions. So I do 2-hour sessions. So the reason for that is usually, first session might be just getting familiar with each other, a little bit comfortable, right? But typically that first kind of hour, sometimes even 90 minutes, is the stories, the excuses, the reasons for the way things are the way they are, right? And you got to get that out of the way to go like, but what are you afraid of? Yeah. Why aren't you taking that action? Yeah. So many times people say, I don't know what to do. Yes. And I'll hear them tell me exactly what they need to do. Oh, yeah. Right? And then I go, no, but you said you just need to go have this conversation. Yeah. Why aren't you doing that? Oh, I couldn't do that because of, and that's like, all right, what are you expecting is going to happen? That's the imagination piece. And usually there is some previous experience they don't know that they're referencing. And sometimes we need to get to that to kind of, lack of a better phrase, process or delete that connection. Yes. So that they can move forward. I call them like anchors, right? Like just have this like, I don't know, last time I did this, I got this bad result, and now I'm afraid to try this again because so we got to kind of release that anchor so that they can move forward. Right. So anyway, that it can happen in one session. It just depends on the person, how open they are to change, if they've let their guard down enough times before to kind of really get to the core of what they're really experiencing or what they're really afraid of. Can they get real honest with themselves? Yeah. But usually by the third session, so that's spending kind of 6 hours together over, a few months, that some sort of unlock, some sort of repositioning, new relationship, overcoming some sort of hurdle or fear happens, and then they're making new choices and have a different perspective and really experiencing the world differently. Yeah.
How important is timing to deliver, a question or something to the client? I guess not on the first meeting, even if you're gonna be, do this or don't do that, like the delivery of the timing. And how is delivered. I think
Mhm.
is that important?
Massively important. The timing is something I don't even, it's not a conscious effort. It's like if I see an opening where I see them avoiding
Yeah.
something or giving me excuse, I will kind of stay with it.
Yeah.
I'll keep going. But
Yeah.
what's there? Or I'll try
Uh-huh.
a different way or angle,
Yeah.
and I can see if they're like, if they're getting more defensive and less open,
Yeah.
then it's like, okay, let's move away from that for a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Like that's really my job as a
Yeah.
guide or explorer to go like, we're trying to find this open place where
Yeah.
you can, see things differently. But if I feel or notice it's closing off, then I'm like, okay, let's back off on that thread, and
Yeah.
maybe it'll come back. Maybe we leave it alone. I don't know, right? But
Yeah.
then the way in which I'm communicating, that's why compassion is like, if I'm realizing this is hard for you, like I'm asking
Yeah.
you questions and they're hard, okay, like they get that I'm pushing a little bit, and it's like, okay, but he's not judging my answers, right?
Yeah.
He's not pushing
Yeah.
either. It's like this subtle fine line of
Yes.
like, we gotta
Hmm.
challenge the ego a little bit, challenge the defenses and the excuses to
Yeah.
get past them.
Yeah.
But in this way where it's like, I understand this is hard. I'm asking you to truthfully answer a hard question right now. And
Yes.
when they feel that,
Yeah.
it does something. It allows them to access a thought or an emotion that maybe they didn't let themselves have. It gives them permission. And so, yeah, that's essential.
Yeah. Do you at that point you make the sale?
Yeah. I mean, this is definitely not a field that any type of typical sales process happens, right? This
Right.
is a very experiential, trust-based
Yeah.
kind of conversation.
Yeah.
And it's either the person's ready, they know they need to explore something different, they know more strategies, more
Yeah.
thinking is not going to get them the change because they've done all that. Like I work with smart, clever, accomplished people, right?
Yeah.
If they could just apply another strategy, if they could read another book, if they could think through this challenge that they have, they would have done it already. And so it's
Yeah.
meeting them at that place. And then is there enough trust there? Is there just enough window where they're like, I'm willing to try a new approach,
Mm-hmm.
that it happens, right? But I can't convince anyone to do this work, or, there's no salesmanship to
Yes.
this.
No, but I think the people that do it is because you help them achieve a
Yes.
positive result.
Yeah.
And you see it, they don't see it, and you helping them understand that result. So that is sales right there.
Yeah. It's just it's a little
You're
bit of a
selling
different
them themselves.
Yeah,
You're-
exactly.
You're helping them by themselves.
Yes, 100%. Yes. And that's the cool thing about this work too, Jack. It is like, I am just trying to reflect back what I'm hearing so they can hear it or see it, maybe with a little bit of a different angle.
Yeah.
But it's them seeing themselves. It's them going, oh, did I say that? So many times, like, did I say that? I'm like, yeah, you just said that. And they're like, oh. And I'm like, yeah, what's happening there? And they're like, oh, I didn't realize, I had been thinking that or feeling that. And it's like, cool, let's stay with it.
Yeah.
Can we stay in this moment, this open space?
Uh-huh.
Then they realize like this, I'm getting to know myself, and that it's all them. I'm just kind of helping them see it. So that's a really cool aspect, is just they're doing all the work. I'm just kind of shepherding a little bit.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah. What would you like to see, or what would you like to be doing in like 5-10 years?
Yeah.
How do you see yourself?
That's such a cool question. And I think about this often. Like, I just tell my wife, like on the weekend, we went to the mountains, so we had a long drive. And I was like, I just so much believe, as I said, like the mind shapes our reality. There's so much possibility. I want to keep developing for myself this intention of like, what world do I want to live in?
Yes.
How do I want to move through space? Right?
Yeah.
Spaces do I want to be? What people do I want to be? Like, I didn't keep sharpening my mind on that intention.
Yeah.
So in 5 years, I definitely want to be doing what I'm doing in some capacity, working with people, helping them navigate change. I think it's going to be instrumental. I think people are going to need to reinvent themselves in this next decade. And I absolutely want to be a part of that. And I want to be in rooms like we were in, where I'm with people and working with people to design spaces and design solutions to help bring more people along on this journey of, evolution into this next era, whatever that means.
Yep.
And the last thing is I still have a craving. So obviously I have my own business. It's coaching, but it's a simple business. It's me working with people primarily one-on-one. I do some corporate stuff, some workshop stuff, but it's me and my time.
Yeah.
I do still have kind of a dream of like having some involvement, probably not building a business from scratch on my own, maybe sitting on a board, but an active board member or buying into a business. Again, I don't want to be in it and running it full time, because I want to have this time to work with people.
Yeah.
But in 5 years, I want to see myself in working directly in a business, having that direct impact, the way you're doing by whatever it is, that business, but like you're employing people, you're helping them grow through that. You're giving them economic opportunity. You're providing a service at a bigger scale through this business. So I don't know what that is, but that's on my horizon.
That's awesome. You're going to do it.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
I see
Thank
it.
you. That's awesome. I appreciate that.
Well, Mike, thanks so much for your time today.
Yeah, thank you, man. It was cool to spend this time with you. And I just so much appreciate who you are and
Thank
your
you so much.
curiosity, and knowing that like I don't know anything about architecture and you have this Power Design podcast and you're like, it's cool, man. It's mine. Come do it. We'll riff. Like, thank you for that openness.
You're
man.
welcome.
I appreciate it.
True, man. Thank you for listening to the Power of Design podcast. Please remember to subscribe, rate, and review if you like this content. And find us online at thepowerofdesignpodcast.com. I invite you to join my mission to become a better version of yourself through the power of design.